All right, well, never a dull moment. Mid-Michigan Chief Meteorologist Chris Easlick coming back for a quick update here. What we are going to do between our weather hits for our 10 o'clock newscast. For those of you who were on earlier, obviously have undergone a wardrobe change here out of the hoodie and into the newscast clothes. But the weather has taken a step up here within the last several minutes. Pretty much right before our 10 o'clock newscast, we got a severe thunderstorm watch that was issued. And right after that, we did get our first severe thunderstorm warning of the night. That was for Gratiot County. And we have a severe thunderstorm warning in place for Saginaw County as well. And the warning for Gratiot County goes until 10:45. The warning for Saginaw County goes until 11:30. Like we talked about earlier today, and like we talked about on our live stream a little bit earlier tonight, the main hazard that we are concerned about with any severe weather for tonight, locally anyway, is going to be the possibility for some larger hailstones that are larger than what we typically get. So the most common hailstones that we get during the summer months or the spring months, whatever time of year it is, are typically about the size of a quarter or less. Those are what happens most often. Tonight, we do have the potential for some of those hailstones to be a little bit bigger. And on the west side of the state, in Grand Rapids, there was a severe thunderstorm warning that was issued for the possibility of golf ball-sized hail. And so that speaks to the potential of what we are watching for tonight. I know it's not the most straightforward night because we're also under a winter weather advisory as these severe thunderstorm warnings come through. But I do think while there's going to be some more analysis when I finally get a moment here, I do think the fact that this is coming through a little bit earlier in the night, it's still right on schedule. We talked about 9, 10 o'clock being sort of the go time here. But I wouldn't be shocked if some of this coming through now, getting some of that water down, if that keeps our temperatures a little bit warmer in some of these areas as we go into the latter half of the night, which would, of course, help us out with the freezing rain threat. Now, the advisories are still in place. We will respect that. But I also think that this could be at least something that helps us out a little bit. So let me get back to the actual radar here. And here's a look at the motion. I'm putting out a push alert on our system, so give me one moment just so people who have our app who aren't aware can join us. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stream and keep you updated through our 10 o'clock newscast, but I may have to step away from time to time. So let me get this out. I've gotten the question quite a bit tonight, so I'll just address it right out front. Is our main concern, again, for those of you who have just joined, we have now gotten to over 500 people on the stream, is our complete first threat here tonight is going to be hail. The risk for hail is going to be a little bit more than wind. Wind is kind of a secondary threat for tonight. And what I have seen with the warnings that have been issued thus far, a lot of those have come in under the 60 mile per hour threshold. Technically it's 58, but the warnings are typically about 60 when they're put into text form. But I've seen the winds come in a little bit lower than what we have seen for a typical severe thunderstorm warning, so that's a good sign. And again, showed this graphic earlier tonight in our newscasts, the tornado outlook for today and tonight, which obviously it's tonight now, is closer to areas like Kalamazoo. It is closer to areas like Detroit. It is closer to areas like Jackson. I would say because of our severe weather threat being at night, and obviously with the performance of some of the storms of last week, I certainly think it's always prudent to have a way to receive alerts overnight just in case. But if it helps you sleep a little bit easier tonight, we are not as concerned about tornadoes as areas that are further to the south of us. And so here's where those storms are going through right now. And again, we've got a flash flood warning in addition to the severe thunderstorm warnings that are going through. And so for some information on that, I'm going to get a view of Gratiot County here and just see if I can sample some of that information, and I'll do that and relay it to you. So the National Weather Service has issued a flash flood warning for Gratiot. A few automated rain gauges indicated. We had some heavy rain, and a few more hours of thunderstorms with heavy rain are expected. So what you're seeing, unfortunately, and one of the situations that commonly leads to flash flooding, is you're getting these lengthy thunderstorms that extend through multiple counties that are going over the same path. And so we call that training thunderstorms. And even though it seems like there's a little bit of an ending here, if we take our radar and go over this way, we still have plenty of rain to get through for the rest of the night. And so what falls now might not necessarily be the only rain that you see. And the one positive here that I think is good, at least further to the north, is the fact that we do not have the freezing rain showing up just yet. But let me just double check to make sure our settings are turned on properly, just to make sure we're getting the mixed precipitation too. Sometimes when we're in severe weather mode, it does change over and forgets the precipitation type. Apologies for that. That's changing over on me. Let's go over to your actual sky tracker here. If we zoom in, it seems like we're detecting a little bit on the sky tracker, but our temperatures at last check were still mostly above freezing. So here's a look at those. Standish, Gladwin around 32, Tawas City a bit cooler, but we're still at 34 in Houghton Lake, still 33 in West Branch. So those are the temps we're going to be monitoring here over the next several hours and into the overnight as well. Here's a look at Birch Run. We'll let that camera sit there for a moment, because we've been getting a pretty good light show with that. And seems like traffic is certainly getting some spray out ahead of it. Waiting for a couple flashes here. And of course I say that, and it's going to be shy. There it goes. There we got a good flash. But it is definitely pouring outside of our downtown Saginaw studios right now. If we zoom in a little bit closer, we're about here, next to 675, right in this area here. And it's pouring. We're not even under the worst. Probably coming down in buckets in Bridgeport. Likely some really good rain happening in Gratiot County near Ashley and Chapin, just to the west of Chesaning, and just to the west of St. Charles. Probably hearing some pretty good thunder regardless of where you are tonight. There's the warning map once again. Check out some of the comments section here, see if we've got any reports. The lightning is crazy in Vassar. Storming in southern Gratiot County. Thunder in northern Bay City. So that's where things are tonight. Man, good flash on our Birch Run camera just now. Going back to it, just see if we can get lucky again. But here is the information on the severe thunderstorm watch as well. This was issued just before our 10 o'clock newscast. This goes until 3 o'clock in the morning. And I also put on there again that the main threat here is large hail. We are in a severe thunderstorm warning and severe thunderstorm watch. A few counties are under a warning, but we're under a severe thunderstorm watch until 3 o'clock. The tornado watch is further to the south. And so again, that is noteworthy. If the Storm Prediction Center thought there was a better chance for tornadoes, I think we would be under a tornado watch. But our main concern tonight is going to be the fact that we do expect some hail. The excessive rainfall outlook We did show this occasionally the last couple of days, but this is also what assesses the risk for some flash flooding. It generally follows the area that is under the marginal risk of severe weather, but does include the thumb. And I think if you're in the thumb, if you're in Huron County, the fact that you are included in the severe thunderstorm watch, I think is noteworthy when it comes to potentially later tonight, the freezing rain potential as well. And so the fact that you're in the watch, I think you can treat yourself like you're in the marginal risk as well. For the possibility of hail, with wind as the secondary factor. And again, if you're just joining the stream, we do have what is called a significant hail outlook, where you've got these dashes in this area here. And notice how that extends up into portions of Gratiot, Shiawassee, even into Genesee and Saginaw. What that is saying is we have a better potential for hailstones that are bigger than what we typically see. And so that might mean the potential is there for hail to get up to about 2 inches in diameter for tonight, maybe even a little bit bigger than that. But it's important to know that that doesn't mean every single hailstone that falls. It could be dime-sized in one town, it could be quarter-sized in another, and whoever gets unluckiest tonight might get golf balls or might get something that's closer to the eggs that you buy at the grocery store. Technically, that's what we use for 2-inch hail, is eggs. So be on alert for that. Really pouring in downtown Saginaw. Let me see if I can get our downtown Saginaw live camera up. Seems like the wind is certainly blowing things around as well. But there's the radar, and I will have another weather hit coming up here soon, so the radar will kind of sit for a minute while I go do that. Here's a look at downtown Saginaw. Visibility reasonably good, but it is raining pretty hard. You might even be able to hear it. I'm not sure if you can hear it on my microphone. I'm checking some reports on my phone as well. So checking the comments section. We've got 530 people on here tonight wanting to know about the weather. Appreciate all of you for being here. Michael says nothing is happening at us in Midland. We're still on the cold side. At least we're not worried about a tornado right now. Yeah, Michael, not my main concern at the moment. Hail and wind seem to be bigger. Barbara says, hailing here west of Chesaning on 57. Barbara, if you're still here, can you please tell me how big that hail is, if you can tell? I'm not asking you to go outside and pick any up and put yourself in harm's way, but if you can estimate what it looks like, that'd be wonderful. Thunder, lightning, and wind in Freeland. Thunder and lightning in the Flint area. No rain yet. Thunder has rattled my house a couple times. Lightning and thunder in Linwood. So it seems like it's here. And if we check out our temperatures again, this is something I'm kind of fascinated by. We've got 34 at MBS, 36 in Saginaw, 40 in Owasso, and 39 in Flint. We talked about the live stream earlier at 9 o'clock for those of you who weren't on. I'm a little bit skeptical of some of these winter weather advisories, especially now in areas like Saginaw, Tuscola, Huron, and Midland and Bay. I'm not saying to write them off. I still think we need to be aware just in case we really start to cool down tonight. But a lot of our data that we have looked at towards the second half of the day here, most of them seem to keep some of these areas above freezing. And the freezing temperatures seem to be a little bit closer to our counties to the north in some of those areas. So ice storm warnings remain in place for Roscommon and Ogama. I think that's the area that has the best chance to potentially pick up about 1/4 of an inch of ice or even a little bit more. So we will be watching those regions closely tomorrow morning. We'll keep tabs on power outages and things like that. So I've got a weather hit coming up. For those of you who are still on, I am going to leave the radar loop up. And we're going to stream this over the last 30 minutes. And what I will do is I will put the auto warning on while I am gone. And then you can see if any new ones pop up. We'll do that. And then when that weather hit is over, I will be right back. And just for those of you who are still on the stream that plan on hanging out on the stream for a little bit, if anyone pops up and says there's no sound, please let me know, or please let them know as a courtesy to me that I will be back. All right, First Alert's Chief Meteorologist Chris Easlick back on the stream as we go through tonight. We do have a warning that I do want to bring to your attention. Thank you for your patience while we had to step away for our 10 o'clock newscast. Just me for the moment, so trying to do a couple of different things. But we do have a warning that is now in place again for Gratiot County. That goes until 11:45, and if I zoom in, you'll notice that this one has a purple outline around it. So what that's supposed to do is it's supposed to get our attention. And what that signals to us is there is something there that is abnormal compared to what is typical of a severe thunderstorm warning. And so what that means with this particular storm that is moving through Gratiot County again is the possibility of golf ball sized hail. So now we're talking about hail sizes that are up to about 1.75 inches. We are just shy of that hail that we talked about earlier being significant, maybe up to about 2 inches in diameter. And so that round of hail could be a little bit more hazardous for Gratiot County. It is now pouring on the roof of our downtown Saginaw studios. We'll pull up that camera really quick so you can see that. Just torrential rainfall outside of our building. Kind of tough to hear what's going on. Again, appreciate those of you who have stuck on the stream. We're going to take another break here coming up, I would say in about 10 minutes, where we're going to go back to our newscast on the air on WNEM TV5, and then I'll be back between certain sections of that. Getting a report of Jody of thunder in Midland, no doubt about that. St. Charles had some hail, left about 10 minutes ago. Bay City, oddly calm. Let's see what we've got. Lots of lightning in Saginaw. Yeah, we've gotten a pretty good storm. And lots of reports of the thunder being a little loud tonight, which is not surprising. Kathy, I'll take a look at the hour by hour here, and I think it does come with a positive update on the stream here. We've been talking about how some of the rain that is currently working its way through right now, along with some of that thunder, might help us out a little bit. And some of those winter weather advisories that we talked about on the 9 o'clock stream, even talked about on my Facebook page a little bit earlier tonight, is a little bit more skepticism with some of those winter weather advisories that are in Saginaw County, a little bit more skepticism with some of the winter weather advisories that are in the Thumb and some of those other areas too. And so certainly looking like we're going to be kind of going along a really thin line as we go through tonight. I think it could be a pretty sharp cutoff between areas like Midland and Bay City, or some of those counties that are north of US 10. So here's how it looks. Keep in mind, again, this is just a simulation, but I think based on what is happening right now, if we zoom back to about 10:30, this is a fairly accurate picture of where some of those thunderstorms are going in, at least an approximate view. If we go forward into the overnight, you can see some of those areas of freezing rain early in the overnight, and then things start to slow down a little bit closer to about 4 and 5. And some of our temperatures throughout the morning come up. They might hover near freezing a little bit more for those areas that are further to the north. And then eventually into the afternoon, we start to warm up just about everywhere. And so that's when some of those advisories and some of those ice warnings will go away. So again, I know there's a lot of confusion tonight. Why do we have winter weather advisories and now a severe thunderstorm watch? It's just, we've been walking a tightrope with temperatures all day. These were issued early this morning when there seemed like a better potential for temperatures to stay cold, at least in areas like Saginaw, Tuscola, Huron, and at least the southern sections of Midland and Bay. I was actually surprised to see them come that far south early this morning, because that wasn't the way things looked when I left the office last night. Doesn't mean it was the wrong call this morning, but I also think that what we're seeing now is some of these thunderstorms are coming through right around that Saginaw, Bay County area over into the Thumb, and that might buy us a little bit of extra time with temperatures above freezing, and it might be able to keep us there as we go through tonight. But don't write it off. I would still be careful. I'd still tune into the road reports early tomorrow morning just to be on the safe side in case temperatures do cool down after the rain stops. But I think we're in a better position in some of those southern areas tonight than we were a little bit earlier today. Lightning and thunder in Hemlock. Looking at the Weather Channel radar, the storm behind this one looks rough. Chase, I'll look at that in a minute. Big lightning strike In Bay City, Carolee, no, don't have to worry about that. Let's see. Oh, we got some rain and freezing rain. We're still on the cold side. Yeah, Michael, you're in a little bit of a different position in Midland compared to some of these other areas that are to the south. If I pull up the radar again, seems like Midland's kind of outside of the worst here. And I'll put on the all types precipitation radar. This does show things a little bit better. Because sometimes when we get into severe mode, the way we have our settings, sometimes they're more useful for summertime. And so they don't always, sometimes they switch over from the winter precipitation type, even if it's not meant to. So you can see the pink mixing in there the further north you go. Gladwin, Aranac, Iosco, into Ogama, Roscommon. Some of those areas are still above freezing based on observations. But we've got Gladwin and Standish starting to die down here. So again, the severe thunderstorm watch, this is new within the last hour or so. That goes until 3 o'clock. Some counties might be cut out before then. Some might be included in that the whole time. Really just depends on how things progress here as we go through the night. Obviously, Huron County is included in that. You weren't included in the marginal that was issued earlier today. Treat yourself like you're in the marginal now. Our focus continues to be on the possibility of large hail over anything else. So I know I've gotten the tornado question many times. I would tell you to always have a way to receive alerts overnight just in case, but I will tell you it is not our main concern at the moment. There is a reason, and this might make you feel a little bit better. The severe thunderstorm watch has been issued for us. The tornado watch has been issued further to the south. So the Storm Prediction Center, they are under that same thinking, if that makes you a little bit more comfortable tonight. So we're going to get ready for our 11 o'clock newscast here. I'm going to get you over to the radar. And like I mentioned before, those of you who are on here now, if anybody comes on and asks where I am, we are doing an 11 o'clock newscast hit, and I will be right back. So here's a look at the radar. We'll leave that up, and we'll come join back the stream here in about 5 to 10 minutes. All right, Chief Meteorologist Chris Easlick back between our weather hits on our 11 o'clock newscast at night. Thank you for your patience. For those of you who have stuck on the stream, we are seeing some thunderstorms roll through pretty much along and south of M46. So right around that Saginaw and Gratiot County area, that's where the warnings have been a little bit more consistent tonight. Thankfully, that severe thunderstorm warning, it seems like for eastern Gratiot County, has temporarily been canceled. That one was producing some hailstones that were starting to be detected around golf ball sized hail. But it seems like that has been trimmed back. There seems to be another one that has been issued until 11:45, or they have just found that the eastern part of the storm no longer was up to severe limits, but perhaps the western side was. So the hazard associated with the portion of Gratiot County that is still in place, that is for quarter-sized hail, and it doesn't really list wind as a hazard until you scroll all the way to the bottom. So that looks like a wind that is less than 50 miles per hour. So if you've been on our stream for a while, we've been talking about that, where hail seems to be far and away the biggest threat for us tonight. And a lot of you have been asking the question, how in the world is it so cold at ground level, but we've got thunderstorms happening right now? What we've got, what leads to severe weather or thunderstorms in these types of scenarios, and also the threat for freezing rain, is I'll show you a little bit of a diagram that we use in weather. It's really ugly looking, but it'll help you see, hopefully, if I can walk you through it. But what happens is, this is an image from the National Weather Service, NOAA, and what it shows, if I can zoom in on it and make it a little bit bigger for you, what is happening tonight is we've got temperatures at the ground level. This air right here that you see in blue, this is considered below freezing. And you can see our temperatures at ground level in this diagram right here are below freezing. It's to the left of that line. So if we had a raindrop or an ice crystal, let's say, that dropped through the sky, let's say it's an ice crystal just to keep things simple. If that snowflake or ice crystal drops into this little area above the ground that is above freezing, it will have the chance to melt, and it will melt into a raindrop. But then as it comes down to the ground, our temperatures are below freezing. So even though that raindrop has melted, it is now interacting with a very cold surface down below. And so what you're getting with thunderstorms tonight is, even though things are not supportive of thunderstorms down at the surface, there is enough rising motion in the upper parts of the atmosphere to still get thunderstorms. We call these elevated thunderstorms. And so that's one of the reasons we're not necessarily concerned about tornadoes locally here in mid-Michigan for tonight, at least for the moment. I don't expect that to change, but we'll watch things closely as we typically do. But it's in these scenarios where we're typically looking at a storm that's higher up in the atmosphere. It's based higher up in the atmosphere, and so it's not as tied to the surface. It's a little bit more difficult for those storms to produce tornadoes when they're elevated thunderstorms instead of down close to the ground. And so that's how you get these thunderstorms that have temperatures that are in the 30s at ground level, but things are a little bit warmer aloft. Another way to describe it is we can get thundersnow sometimes. It's not warm out when we have thunderstorm, right? Or thundersnow, right? And so all that matters is that the air, where the air is rising, is warmer than its surroundings. As long as it's warmer than its surroundings, whether it's at ground level, whether it's 5,000 feet, 10,000 feet up in the air, as long as that air can rise, we can get thunderstorms. So that's kind of the explanation for that. Let's go through the comments here. Eric, please watch that cell coming out of Indiana. Warm front coming into Michigan. I'll circle back on that. Here's a look at our radar again. I left it up on warnings for you. But this is just the pure liquid radar. This is only showing things with summertime precipitation where it's all green. It's a little bit clearer of an image the closer you get. and really still coming down pretty hard in Saginaw. But then if I flip over to the radar that assesses precipitation type in different levels of the atmosphere, you can clearly see that things are lit up like a Christmas tree the further north you go. So some of these areas, we're still primarily above freezing, according to observations in those areas. But we do have a couple of regions that are starting to fall a little bit. So I'm actually going to pull that map up. I'm checking some reports on my phone as well. It looks like we've got a temperature still of 33 in Houghton Lake. We've got a temperature of 32 in West Branch, and it looks like we're starting to see some precipitation that is unknown. So what that means is we're probably seeing some mixing going on there. Oscoda is at the freezing mark in Iosco County. The problem, unfortunately, is we've got this area around Gladwin and also into Clare. We don't really have a lot of good observations in this area. And so I think there's at least the potential that we're starting to see some freezing rain there. And those are the areas that I think are going to keep the winter weather advisory going. I'm interested to see what happens to these winter weather advisories here. I'm interested to see if Saginaw, Tuscola, and Huron County, as well as Midland and Bay County, get cut out. I think Midland and Bay County have a better chance to stay than Saginaw, Tuscola, and Huron, but I think it's close. And I talked about that a little bit earlier tonight, that there's a world where some of these areas may not fall below freezing tonight, and I think some of this rain that's coming through now certainly helps with that. Windy, cold and raining in Mount Pleasant. Ogemaw County, Chrissy, you are under the ice storm warning. I would still be concerned there about any freezing rain potential. Jason and Lori in Ogemaw County, I thought of you guys today because I know you're in Ogemaw County, but I would keep an eye on how things progress tonight. I think 10 o'clock, which of course has already happened, 10 o'clock until about 4 o'clock in the morning, I think is when the most consistent wet weather comes down. Kaylee, thank you. Getting freezing rain in Gladwin. Or Keeley, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. My apologies if not. Hail in Middleton. John Davison, I think you're primarily looking at just thunderstorm potential tonight, with hail being the main threat. You're far enough south to where you're removed from the freezing rain threat. Tyler asked, does Shiawassee County have to worry about heavy wind? I think that's secondary. I think hail is far and away the main threat. I think wind is second to hail. Heavy rain is kind of up there on a localized basis too, considering the flash flood warnings we've had. And then tornadoes is something that we're not concerned about locally for now, for those of you who haven't heard me say that yet. Alex, Reese, heavy rain and hail. Kendall, Owasso, heavy rain, hail threat, the primary concern for you. Travis, Bay City truck driver, out overnight down in Marshall. What is the weather supposed to be like down here? Travis, I would keep your alerts on you. There is the potential for some nastier storms down there. You are probably, Marshall is close enough to I-94 to where I would say that you need to be ready just in case. If there's a chance for a tornado, you're close enough to that tornado risk near I-94. Tuscola and Caro, you're under the winter weather advisory. I think your concern at this point is primarily heavy rain, some hail. It seems like the Tuscola County and Saginaw County winter weather advisories are probably hanging on by a thread. Again, do not discount them yet. Let's see how our temperatures evolve through the night. But if it keeps raining for a while, I think our chances are pretty low that we're going to cool down enough. All right, we're going to have to go to our 11 o'clock newscast. I've got another hit coming up. Again, for those of you who are on the stream, please let people know that I will be back eventually. But until I have a moment to get off our newscasts, we will let the radar play out. All right, Chief Meteorologist Chris Easlick back to reset the table here. Again, we're trying to do some streaming in between our newscasts. So for those of you who are still on the stream and still here, let's see. Jill is talking about this tornado sirens going off at SVSU. I'm wondering if that is because we've got a severe thunderstorm warning in the area. What I will tell you is I do get alerts for SVSU, and I have not gotten an alert for SVSU yet. I also don't get the best service in the building, so that could be why as well, but I am going to take a look. What I will tell you, even if for whatever reason, you heard a siren, there is no tornado warning in place. Some counties and some towns do sound warnings for severe thunderstorm warnings. So that may be the case. But I have not gotten an alert from SVSU myself, and I'm signed up for them. So we'll see if we get any updates there, but I can assure you there's no severe thunderstorm, no tornado warning in place for SVSU. There is a severe thunderstorm warning that goes until 11:30. I think that is, no, and Jill, I promise, oh, you're responding to somebody else. Okay. Yeah, I'm not trying to diminish Jill at all, but I appreciate your son speaking up because that is important. Here's a look at the radar. I think it's a positive sign that we have not seen the warning from Saginaw County extended into Tuscola County. There might be a weakening trend with that. And it seems like we're starting to trim some of those warnings out from Gratiot County as well. Here's the big picture on the sky tracker. Freezing rain colors seem to be setting up roughly about US 10 and northward. So we'll see if those winter weather advisories hold in Saginaw County and Tuscola, considering how much it's raining right now. And our temperatures still seem to be cooperating. We've got 34 in Saginaw, 34 in Caro. Midland and Bay City a little too close for comfort there at 32. But keep in mind, we were warm the last several days and ground temperatures may have warmed up. So we do have to factor that in. Not saying that we can't be seeing freezing rain right there, but keep in mind temperatures and those official observations are 2 meters off the ground. And so roughly about 3 feet per meter, you're talking about 6 feet or just over that for 2 meters. And so temperatures at ground level can be a little bit warmer than temperatures at 2 meters up in the air. But it's too close for comfort. And so that's why I don't think we can write off all of these winter weather advisories just yet. And we still have the severe thunderstorm watch in place until 3 o'clock. So let me check the chat. Let's see, we've got more. So Zoe heard a siren go off on campus as well. Again, I don't see a tornado warning for Saginaw. So I'm guessing that siren might have been triggered by a severe thunderstorm warning or perhaps was a mistake. Mount Pleasant, I expect primarily rain, but you're close enough. Goodbye, Christian, if everybody wonders why I'm waving to our producer as he leaves. But if anybody is wondering about Isabella County, I think you're close enough to at least pay attention for a little bit of icing, but you are not included in that advisory right now. Let's see what else we've got. Colton, how bad is Roscommon getting? I think you've got the potential to get up to about 1/4 of an inch of ice, maybe more. You're in the ice storm warning, which is a pretty big deal. Those ice storm warnings aren't issued very lightly. So I'd be very careful driving late tonight or early tomorrow morning if you are. Nicole, is the weather supposed to be bad in Genesee County? I think your main concern is probably hail and maybe some gusty winds a little bit later tonight. Chad, is Ogemaw County okay? I wouldn't say so. You're under an ice storm warning. Potential for about 1/4 inch of ice. I'm hoping less, but you're under the ice storm warning for around 1/4 inch or greater. And no problem, Jill. Again, please thank your son for saying something so we can get the message out. Much appreciated. Hopefully he can tell his friends that there's no tornado warning if there was a false siren that went off. Cindy, Bay City is in a winter weather advisory, not an ice storm warning. So the ice totals in Bay County are not expected to be the same as areas further to the north. All right, we've got one final update on our newscast coming up. So I will, one final time, leave the stream up, and I will be back once we get out of our 11 o'clock newscast. All right, Chief Meteorologist Chris Easlick back one more time here. Still expecting some thunderstorms to roll through here in the near term. It does appear that we have now lost the severe thunderstorm warning for Saginaw County, which is a good sign. That has not, as of this moment, been carried into Tuscola County, so that's also a good sign. But we will continue watching that as it starts moving to the north and east. Still a flash flood warning in place for Gratiot County, and now it seems like we have lost the severe thunderstorm warning for Gratiot County as well. So that's good. We are down to no severe thunderstorm warnings for the time being. We are still under the severe thunderstorm watch until 3 o'clock in the morning. And if you take a look at the radar here, if we zoom on over a little bit closer to Grand Rapids, we still have what appears to be more thunderstorms on the way. So we're not done tonight just yet. There's a look at the lightning. Going to turn that on for you. Heck of a light show across mid-Michigan tonight. So this is why you're seeing that little jump there. It's just picking the closest radar site instead of trying to combine all of them. So we've got what appears to be a pretty hefty line. And then also we've got some pretty good lightning currently working through Caro, it seems like, or just to the north. Some of that headed into Huron County as well. So latest warnings, again, only thing in place for the moment is the flash flood warning for Gratiot County. Let me see if I can get some information on that for you. That flash flood warning goes until 4 o'clock in the morning. Haven't gotten any specifics on how much rain has fallen. Typically, those flash flood warnings give us an idea that 2 or 3 inches of rain has fallen in a certain amount of time, and we expect a certain amount more. All this is saying is we expect a few more hours of thunderstorms, and if we're seeing flooding already, well then no doubt that can get a little bit worse. I will flip over to let me pull it down so we don't have to go as far to change over. Have a good night, my friends. Chet and Meg walking out of the building. But I will put on the winter radar here so you can reference that. Again, the reason you're not seeing the winter precipitation is just when we're kind of in storm tracking mode. Sometimes the radar turns some of those winter light colors off just so we can see things a little bit better. But we certainly have a lot of pink showing up the further you go north. So I think that dividing line for the freezing rain, the winter weather advisory, again, we'll see if Saginaw and Tuscola County are eventually cut out. We'll see if Huron County is eventually cut out. I think Saginaw and Tuscola more likely, but it seems like with the trajectory that these storms are going, that Huron County has a chance to get out of this. And then also our northern counties are the one that are under the ice storm warnings. We've got Roscommon and Ogemaw County under that ice storm warning. So a good report from Christopher. Appreciate you, Christopher. Streets are flooded on the west side of Saginaw. Paul, no problem. That's what we're here for. Appreciate you, Paul. And yes, Madison responding to someone's comment. I can't see it, but for the person who asked just severe thunderstorm watches, that's all that's in place right now, outside of the flash flood warning. How is Standish looking? People said there was sirens. There were sirens, I know, in Saginaw, or there's at least some unofficial reports from some students at SVSU that some sirens went off. I don't know about Standish. If you've heard sirens going off in Standish, please let me know. Tristan, appreciate you helping me. Tell people I'm coming back. Christopher, the wind factor, more locally tonight. The wind on its own, not necessarily bad, but in thunderstorms, it could go up 40 to 50 miles per hour or so. Seeing if we've got some reports elsewhere. So yeah, I'm really interested to see what happens with these winter weather advisories here. I know it's kind of a confusing night because those are underneath all of what is happening now. It's just a junk system full of everything. AJ, what can Freeland expect? I think Freeland is mostly rain at this point. I think the freezing rain threat goes a little bit further to the north, but Freeland's temperature, last check, now that I think about it, we did look at that. Freeland is at 32, so I don't want to write off the freezing rain threat in Freeland just yet. We'll keep that a little bit longer. So there's a look at the flash flood warnings that extend from Gratiot County all the way over to Grand Rapids. Let's see if we can get a look at some of the radar estimated rainfall totals while we have a moment. This is going to take a minute, I think, to populate. Let's just even go back. 6 hours should do it. Now keep in mind these are going to be estimates, but I think it'll help us tell a story here. So it seems like we've got some estimates on the southwest side of Gratiot County, about 4.3, just outside 3.1, west of Ionia, close to 3. Seems like we've got an estimate in Chesaning of around 4.3. So you can easily see why there's some flash flood warnings in place. That is for sure. All right, just for a few minutes, since we do not have any warnings in place, I will monitor the chat. But what I am going to do is I am going to kind of let this ride just to save my voice here because I can kind of feel that going out on me. So I'm going to pull up the radar full screen. And as necessary, if there's more warnings issued, I will hop back on. All right, everyone, just going to jump back on here for a couple of minutes and just try to wrap the stream up until meteorologist Matthew Mondro comes in. I think we're to a point where we could probably at least close out the stream for a little while. Obviously, if conditions warrant, we will come back. But it seems like we've been streaming for quite a while. We'll give our streaming equipment a little bit of a breather. But we do expect, as we go through the next couple of hours, that thunderstorms will remain pretty active here. Still have a flash flood warning for portions of Gratiot County until about 4 o'clock in the morning. That is the only warning we have related to thunderstorm activity. We still have the winter weather advisories. We still have the ice storm warning to the north. Right now, these storms that are currently working their way through portions of the thumb, they do have some good lightning with it. That lightning has certainly made its presence known throughout the night. The thunder as well. And let's see if I can get the lightning to show up a little bit better here. For whatever reason, it's being a little finicky on me. Let's see. Not sure why that's not showing up all that well. But anyways, I don't think I have to tell you there's a light show ongoing tonight. Here we go. It's a better viewpoint of it. The radar is going to look messy. I know Jason and Lori, you are still on. It just looks messy because the radar is shooting up into upper levels of the clouds. And so what it's doing is it's likely picking up on some mixed precipitation in there. It's likely picking up, even if it's rain at the surface for freezing rain, it's probably picking up some snowflakes. It's probably picking up some mixed precipitation. I know you mentioned some thunder early, so it looks like we've got some freezing rain potentially happening with thunderstorms, which is certainly not ideal. Let me see if there's been any changes to the winter weather alerts map, and then I will get that future radar one more time. Nope, we still have the winter weather advisories in Saginaw, Tuscola, Huron. Still the ice storm warnings to the north. And here is the future radar. Let me pull that up. So as we go through tonight, would expect precipitation to be pretty persistent here for the next several hours. Once we start getting into the morning drive times, I think you'll start seeing things improve, or at least slow down. Maybe not improve, might be the wrong word. Precipitation still possible at various times through the day tomorrow, and we do kind of need to keep an eye on temperatures to the north. But then once we get to the afternoon, a lot of things start to slow down, and we eventually cool down later in the night, and we get some snowflakes before everything pulls away, and then going into Thursday, we're in pretty good shape. So again, we get a bit of a break after about 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, maybe get a few more showers tomorrow, late morning, early parts of the afternoon, and then it just kind of fades away. So we will end the stream there just for the time being because we don't have any warnings in our area. I'll get a chance to reset things in case Matthew needs it when he comes in. But thanks everyone for joining the stream. Thanks for your reports throughout the night. And we'll keep watching even though we're not streaming, and we'll be back if we need to. We will see you all a little bit later.